Arvin, on your camera, man.
Stand up.
Yeah, Arvin's our head of cloud. He's a really impressive developer. He studied in the US, and he's doing one of our future upcoming sharing sessions. You should join as well, Mun. Arvin has a very interesting story to share.
And send me the link.
Yeah, sure, of course, of course. So yeah, you don't know, Maman. So after you the Hut Group, right? And after that, now
Mhm.
you're going to BlackRock very soon, right? What were you doing actually in the Hut Group? Like, was it
Mhm.
fully software?
So I was in this like team that's called like the products team, and then like the Hut Group is like an e-commerce company. So
Yes.
the products team kind of like we own a space within the entire like software architecture. So the space that we own is kind of like product related. So it's about like the pricing of the products, the kind of like ingredients, the like shipping stuff, and then is everything about the products. And then so we are kind of like a full stack, and then we kind of wear like many hats. So in the sense that like we are involved in the entire kind of software, like the development cycle, like from gathering the requirements, developing features, and then monitoring, deploying, maintaining. So we are involved in like the whole thing.
So, like in the past, you were in mechanical engineering, and just for
Mm-hmm.
those of you who are watching this, just to let you know, Man Man was a high school friend of mine. I knew her growing up, and I was a transfer student, so she was one of the OGs, and I was transferred. Man Man in the past, she was in engineering, and I in the past I was in finance. So we caught up as well, like halfway. I think that was like second year or third year of uni, right? Uh,
Mm, yeah, around that time.
Yeah, around second before we graduated, we went for this event held by Maybank or organized by our friends. I'm not sure. So that's when I caught up with Mama and we got in touch again. And she was like, in that time you were doing engineering and you were exploring business, correct? Yes. And that
Yeah.
time I was in finance and I was exploring like consulting business stuff as well. I haven't gone into tech, right? So both of us were still away from tech. So yeah,
Mhm.
Mama, what happened after that incident, like going to business, right?
Mhm.
What inspired you to? I think one at some point you actually messaged me about exploring technology as well, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah,
you can
I did.
share with us as well. What happened?
So yeah, I guess like back then when I was, I think we were in our second year of uni, right? Like first or second year, like very like at the start of our kind of like studies, and then I was mainly exploring finance because like everyone around me is exploring finance, and then they were talking about like where like all the money goes, and then like you get like paid well in finance and all that kind of stuff. So I was like exploring finance, consulting, and then so during like my 4 years of uni, I spent like my summer internships kind of like exploring business side kind of thing. So I went to like banks, I went to like consulting firms, and then I realized that it's not really what I was looking for. Is because like when I was in consulting, it was like mainly preparing PowerPoint slides, which I kind of struggle. It's not really my thing. And then like I feel like I prefer kind of like building things, like problem solving, that kind of thing. So like I kind of after like 4 years of doing like business related summer internships, I feel like maybe I want to explore something else that is tech. And so like in the end, I decided to like apply for a career in tech.
Wait, but you see, you said you enjoyed building things, right? So why didn't you
Mm-hmm.
continue on your path in mechanical? Wait, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you do a quick sharing, like where do you
Mm-hmm.
study? What's your background? What are you doing now?
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So back then, like from 2016 to 2020, I did a master's in mechanical engineering at Imperial College London. So I didn't do my degree in tech or anything like that. I mean, and mechanical engineering is tech-ish. So after I graduated, I applied to this like accelerator program. The accelerator program is kind of like a boot camp. So it's like a 6 month in training, in classroom training. And then the accelerator program is actually like tied to a company. So like after completing that 6 months of training, we get to like go through kind of like an assessment or something like that. But most of us would actually pass the assessment. So it's kind of like a project thing. And then like, after you finish the project, you land like a full-time role with that same company. So after that 6 months, I landed a role, and then like it's like a full-time role in that company. So that company is called the Hut Group, which is an e-commerce company. And then I was in the product team. And then after that, so probably for about like a year and a half now. And then recently I decided to like kind of switch a company to like this investment management company called BlackRock.
One of the biggest in the world, right?
Yeah,
Very,
that's what
very,
they say.
for those who don't know, BlackRock, it's a very prestigious asset management company. Is it a hedge fund or an asset management company, or they are both?
It's asset management company.
Yes. So actually, tell us about the application process to get into BlackRock.
Yeah. So the application process to get into BlackRock was, I think, 4 rounds of interviews. So like I did it through a recruiter. So like doing it through a recruiter is like meaning that I don't have to like fill in any kind of application form, you know, like your address and then, like write an
boring
essay,
stuff,
yeah, like all the boring stuff, like writing essays and stuff like that. So I kind of like skip that part. So doing through a recruiter, I kind of landed an interview directly with BlackRock. So the first interview was kind of like a competency round where we kind of like talk about like your motivation, why you want to like apply here, and then like if given like a scenario, like what would you do, how would you solve a problem, something like that. And then the next round was like a pair programming round. So like you kind of sit together with the interviewer and like go through a problem, explain your thought process, and then like do a hands-on coding exercise with them. And then
was it a live coding test?
Yeah, so like you actually
tell us a
get
little bit
on a
about
call.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so you actually like kind of get on a call with the interviewer, and then like there will be, I think it was kind of like done on HackerRank or something. So that's like a question. You kind of like read the question and then explain like, oh, like if this is the question, this is what I would do. Like, what do you think? And then you kind of like solve the problem and code together.
Do you remember what was the question? Maybe give me one example of something.
So I think there were like 2 questions. One of them is kind of like I think it was kind of like an array kind of question, like how like kind of what would be the best time to kind of like buy and sell stocks, something like that. So I can't remember what's the question, but basically you have to like look for like the best day to kind of like make the best profit, like from the array kind of thing. And then I can't really remember the next one. It was kind of about like some bidding and then like kind of like solving a problem to find like what's the best bid.
What's the prerequisite knowledge that you feel is required to solve this problem?
So I guess like it's mainly like because I did that coding interview in Java, and then so like in Java we have like this thing that's called like streams. So Java streams is like I think it's required for that question, and then it's mainly like collections and then streams and then like array lists, stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult would you rate that coding question?
I got to say it's probably not that difficult. It's probably like 5. Like it's around like easy to medium level.
Have you done
like,
HackerRank challenges? HackerRank or Free Code Camp? Have you done Free Code Camp? Have you done Free Code Camp challenges before?
I haven't done Free Code Camp.
Oh, okay. HackerRank?
I did like HackerRank, yeah, HackerRank.
Okay. And would you say it's probably in the easy to intermediate level of HackerRank? Right.
Yeah, I was surprised it's actually like in the easy to medium level. Yeah.
And would you say that you know, in this context, solving algorithm challenges is the prerequisite to being a software developer, regardless of your language. If you're able to solve it, and share your thoughts on this.
So I think like for the pair programming round, data structures and algorithm is definitely like the prerequisite. But I wouldn't say like you know like algorithm, that's always like really like crazy algorithms, like those like what
big O notation.
Floyd, or, like all the like really random ones. Yeah. So
did they
I
ask
guess like yeah, they did. So like usually the algorithm is like the common ones. Like the hardest that I've ever seen was like asking you to traverse a graph. I think that was like the most difficult, or like reverse a linked list. That was also kind of difficult. But other than that, like usually it's like binary search or like sorting algorithm. It's like not those like really, really crazy algorithms.
Yeah.
And then they did also ask like big O notation. So like, but usually it's kind of like very quick. Like they would say, "Oh, what do you think of this? Like the complexity of this your solution? Can you think of like a way to kind of like improve your like time complexity or like space complexity?"
Okay.
It's
Hey,
mostly like
this
guided as
topic,
well.
since we're on this topic, right, Mun Mun, I guess one final question before we move on to your sharing
Mhm.
is I wanted to know, like, you coming from a mechanical engineering background, right? You went into the Hut Group, which is one of the biggest e-commerce companies in UK, and then you got into BlackRock. These two are obviously very big companies, and very competitive to get in, especially as a foreigner, right? So, like, I want to ask, in terms of having the knowledge of like all these computer sciencey topics, like time-based complexity, big O notation, right? Would you say that without the knowledge of all this stuff, you wouldn't have gotten your first job or this job?
To be honest, I think it's yes, because like these are pretty like basic things that any like tech people should know, or it kind of like shows that you kind of are interested and did your homework before attending those interviews. So I feel like these are pretty basic things that you should at least like know or understand, like
Okay.
have the fundamental knowledge.
What about on the job? Like on the job itself, right? Did you use any of this stuff? Like what do you do in the job most of the time?
Yeah, so to be honest, like on the job, you wouldn't be asked to like analyze the big O notation. You wouldn't be asked to kind of like do a binary search like on the job. But I feel like these kind of knowledge will kind of help you like come up with good solutions. Like for
Yes.
instance, you wouldn't like kind of like take a huge like detour to kind of like solve a very simple problem. So like having this like basic knowledge would kind of help you write a good
Would you
code.
say that you just need to understand how it works instead of needing to go very deep? Like understanding is it enough? Just understanding high level, what are the differences between all these different stuff?
Yeah, I feel like as like an actual like software engineer working like on your job, you kind of just need to know like the basics, the fundamentals. But sometimes I did attend like really crazy interviews that actually like want you to know super deeply about like these stuff, and like behind like under the hood, like how does like hash set work and stuff like that.
It's
And
crazy.
yeah, I gotta be honest, I didn't pass those interviews.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy. I guess that it's a spectrum again, right? And then it's a spectrum of what the companies need, and obviously how competitive is the role. But at the end of the day, to really add value, you just gotta be able to build stuff for them, right? Okay, so
yes.
yeah, Mama, I don't wanna. I'll continue. I have a lot of questions. I'm sure these guys have questions as well. But if you're okay, maybe you can proceed with your sharing sessions, and I can continue asking after this. So there's anything,
Cool.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can share your screen.
I can share my screen. Let me see, how do I
What
do
time is it
this?
there, by the way?
It's 10 in the morning, 10:16.
Thanks for waking up early on a Saturday.
No worries. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Okay, it's loading. Loading.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
cool.
low.
Very nice. Yep. Okay, cool. So take the wheel. I'm gonna mute myself.
Yeah, so I guess like the main topic for my presentation today is like how I landed my first job in software engineering, the interview process, which we kind of talked about just now, and then what I did to prepare and what I've learned so far. So yep, about myself, I guess like I've introduced myself just now. So I did a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and then I joined this like 6-month in classroom accelerator program with the Hut Group, and then I landed a job with the Hut Group after that, and spent about like a year and a half at the Hut Group. And recently, I'm still on this like onboarding process with BlackRock as a software engineer as well. So yeah, so like talking about this part actually, because like before that I was also like I think when I was first looking for a job, after I graduate, I did reach out to Derek as well to ask about like back then it was this hacker collective program, which was also kind of like a boot camp, I believe, because I wanted to like land a job in tech. But in the end, I went to the hybrid because like we were kind of promised to land a full-time role after the accelerator program. So I thought that was like an easier route for me to stay in the UK. So I guess like talking about the typical application process. So entry level, I mean, it's like the how I landed my first job, and then this mid to junior to mid level is how I landed my second job at BlackRock. So typically the graduate level is like super kind of short compared to like an experience level. So in the entry level, we usually go through like an online submission. So like you write an essay, fill in some forms, and then like probably do like a HackerRank question, a very easy level HackerRank question. And then like if you pass the threshold, you will be invited to an interview. So the interview process usually starts with like a competency and cultural fit round. It's mostly talking about like your motivation. So in this process, I kind of made it clear that I didn't do a degree in computer science. So usually they would ask me like why like the career switch, and then where do you see yourself like probably in the next 5 to 10 years kind of question. And then so as you can see, like they do understand that you didn't have that technical knowledge yet, but at this point they're kind of like accessing your potential and like how quickly you can like learn something. So like the next round is kind of like resume and technical discussion. So this round is kind of talking about like your CV, what are some projects that you have done in the past that shows that you are actually interested in tech and not just like applying just because like there's an opening or something like that. So like in my degree, I did do some like small projects in Python. So I kind of like talk about those in this interview. So as you can see, like in the entry level, they don't really test you extensively on your technical knowledge, but more on your potential and like your motivation. So later on in my current job search, which is like the one that I recently landed, it started off with like online submission, but not really. So like this round was kind of substituted by the recruiter round. So I kind of like spoke to the recruiter, talk about like why I'm looking for a job, what sort of job I'm looking for. And then that recruiter kind of like referred me to directly to an interview. So I landed like this resume deep dive round, which is kind of like talk about what I did in my current role and the sort of like contribution, the problems we solve at my current role. And then we went into this like more technical round, which is like the pair programming, tested on like data structures, algorithms, like the big O notation as well. And then the technical interview. So technical interview is more of like Q&A session, but it's more on very, not very, but like technical knowledge, like how would you design like a cache system, or like how would you like if given like a certain problem, how would you like structure your code? What kind of design patterns would you use? Can you like describe this design patterns or stuff like that? So it's probably like more technical Q&A session. And then usually you pass like the initial rounds. Your last round is like a kind of like chit chat round, which almost like very likely that you will definitely pass your final round. So your final round is usually with someone who's like very high up in the company, like a director or something, or like a CTO. And then like it's very casual. You talk about like your motivation and kind of where your interest lies and stuff like that. So usually if you manage to go through the initial rounds, your last round will be like just a very casual chit chat round. So I'm talking about like the kind of preparation that I did and what works for me. I would say that HackerRank and LeetCode is like a definite must. But I would prefer to like do it in kind of a more structured way. So I would personally recommend like the interview preparation kit, algorithm study plan, and blind 75. So like these are kind of structured by the topics. So like they have 10 questions on array, 10 questions on dictionaries, 10 questions on like dynamic programming kind of thing. So I feel like doing it in more of a structured way, you can easily spot a pattern or a technique to like solve a problem. So like, for instance, like using 2 pointers is actually like a technique to solve like a certain type of questions, or using like a sliding window technique to kind of like solve another type of problem. So you kind of like start to spot trends when you do it like topic by topic. So I would highly recommend like these 3 because they are kind of like structured in by topic. And then another thing that I did was a mock coding interview. I haven't tried like prep, but I heard it's the same. How I practiced my mock coding interview was with my friend who was also like in the same position as me. Like we didn't have a degree in tech, but we wanted to like land a career in software engineering. So we were kind of at the same level. So we kind of understand each other. We look up like questions, random questions on like LeetCode and HackerRank to kind of like test each other. So I feel like practicing how to solve the problem is also like very important. Like solve a problem with another person is like also kind of like important, because like usually when you do it yourself, you just like stay silent and solve it quietly. But like when doing it with another person, you have to explain, you have to like learn how to explain your thought process and stuff like that. So I think practicing with someone is pretty important. And then the next point is to reach out to someone on LinkedIn. I think this is super important. So the 2 types of person that you want to reach out to is someone who is currently in the role you're applying for. So giving like an example, like in the last like 1.5 years, when I was with the Hard Group, people reached out to me on LinkedIn to like ask me about like hidden roles, and oftentimes there would be like hidden roles that are not like published on their career portals or like LinkedIn or stuff like that. So there would be like hidden roles that are easier to get. So there were like 2 people who reached out to me in the last like 1.5 years, and both of them actually like landed a role in the Hard Group. So I would highly recommend like to reach out to people who are currently in the role. And another benefit is that you like speaking to someone directly in the company, you can kind of like understand like their internal stuff, their tech stack. It's just like a better way for you to understand the company. And also to reach out to someone who has done the interview recently. So giving an example as well, I reached out to someone who has done the interview for the Hard Group when I first like applied for my first role. And that person kind of shared exactly what questions were being asked to him during that his interview. So, and that those questions did come up with my interview. So I felt like I kind of got lucky and like managed to answer those questions because like I asked someone. I wouldn't consider that cheating, but like, you know, you just get lucky because like if you want something, you just gotta ask for it. So and then the next point is the Glassdoor. Because like on Glassdoor, you can sometimes like find what the questions that were being asked in the past. But the thing is, I feel like Glassdoor, there's like so many different types of questions. So like sometimes those questions wouldn't come up. So for me, so far in my interviews, the questions listed on Glassdoor didn't actually come up in my interviews, but I guess it's a good way for you to gauge like the difficulty level, or like just get a feel of what to expect in the interviews. And then the last point is to watch others do their interview. So this I meant like if you are going into an interview where you haven't done before, you couldn't find someone to actually like practice with you. So I think like the best way to prepare for this kind of interview is to watch videos of other people do their interview. So for example, myself, I haven't done any system design interviews before when I applied to BlackRock. So what I did was I went onto YouTube and like kind of watch how other people approach the problem and how like they kind of talk about their solutions and how they kind of like prompt the interviewer to give them some hints. They kind of like learn from other people. And then like right before the interview, you go through like the company website to kind of learn, like look at the job description, vision and mission, and etc. So I guess like the reason for doing this is to create an impression to the interviewer that you have done like you come to the interview prepared, you have done your homework. So like sometimes the interviewer would ask you like, so do you roughly know like what we do or what sort of products we sell? So you want to be able to like give them a very broad overview of like what you understand about their company. So it kind of shows that you are like really keen about the opportunity and you did your homework before attending. And then definitely go through your CV, make sure that you can tell a story for each points that you put onto your CV. And then try to structure it, like tailor your stories to the role that you're applying for. And then the last point is to get ready to ask some questions. Take this opportunity to like create an impression for yourself. So for instance, like you just ask the interviewer like, so what's the company culture? And then like the interviewer will tell you like, oh, maybe we are like very collaborative and blah, blah, blah. And then so you kind of like reply to them and say like, oh yeah, that's like the style that I'm looking for. And then try to give an example of like why you are like a collaborative person. So it's kind of like an opportunity for you to create an impression and also to like learn about the role. So at this point, you kind of want to ask about like something that you can't read on their company website, ask something that's like specific to the role that you are applying for, understand like how their day-to-day look like, their tech stack, and stuff like that. And so like what really worked for me was the accelerator program, which is like the boot camp or like a structured course that like spans over like this 6 months. So why I think that this worked for me was because like so imagine like your brain is like a shelf and then your knowledge is like a lot of books. So you do have a lot of books on your shelf, but they are kind of like not organized. So going to these kind of boot camps, they teach you how to kind of like organize your books on your shelf. So like organize your knowledge in your brain, kind of thing, if that makes sense. And then definitely get an internal referral from someone within the company or reach out to someone. I think like if you want something, you definitely have to ask for it. So and then reach out to a recruitment company. So this is what I did for BlackRock. So back then when I first graduated, I went onto like career portals to kind of like apply for roles. So I've applied for like probably 30 to 40. I put in like a lot of applications. probably only 10 of them got back to me, and maybe like I was invited to probably like 5 interviews, and probably in the end landed like 2 roles. And then I had very limited options. So what I did in this round was to speak to recruiters. I spoke to probably like 10 recruiters, landed interview for all 10 of them. Didn't receive that many offers, received like 3 offers, but you can see like reaching out to recruiter can almost 100% land you interviews, and like in the interview process it really depends on yourself. But I think passing that like CV screening round and just going directly to the interview is like you definitely need a recruiter for that. So definitely reach out to a recruiter. And then another like thing that I've learned in this entire like job search experience is to keep exploring the job market even when you have a job. I think that the best time to look for a job is when you don't need that job. You don't really have the pressure to like get a job. And then like there isn't really a time frame, like you don't have to wait for like 2 years to like explore a new job. You kind of need to just keep like practicing, keep exploring, and then whenever like you land a job, whenever like you get an offer, maybe like in 6 to 8 months, and then you think that is a better like job or like a better opportunity than what you're having now, then you can always like go to a different company. So, and I guess the last thing for me is to learn from your last interview. So like you have to like keep applying and keep going to interviews, keep failing, and then like every time after you finish an interview, kind of like reflect on what happened in your last interview and kind of like learn from it. And I feel like after failing many interviews, you kind of like get a hang, you manage to like spot a pattern on like how to kind of tackle these kind of interviews, especially like technical interviews where like you're kind of most of the time tested on almost the same thing. So I think like keep going to interviews, keep failing, and you will finally like land a job in the end. So what I realized working as like a software engineer for like the last close to 2 years, industrial experience is like more important, or at least like equal to computer science degree. So from my experience, I don't think that I'm any less than my peers who did like a computer science degree. We still solve the same problem. We still manage to like do the same work every day. So I think like having the industrial experience is like equivalent to computer science degree. So like because a lot of things you learn on the job. So like other than just like your technical level, having like the domain knowledge is also very important. So by domain knowledge, I mean that like the knowledge that you have about like the products of the company, the system. So I feel like a lot of things is like learn on the job. So like your degree only matters in your first job search, and in your second job search, people almost never ask about what you did for your degree. So like in my recent job search, I guess almost no one asked me about what I did in my uni, because there's like so much to talk about in my current role that people never ask about my degree anymore. So what I'm trying to say is that the hardest part is to land your first role in tech if you didn't do a tech degree. And then after that, it's going to be like more smooth sailing for you. And then the last point is to like find a mentor. I think that having a good senior is very, very important, like because a lot of things like you learn from failing. So having like a very senior mentor that can kind of like teach you is like very important, because like senior has probably like spent a long time in the industry, has failed many times. So like having someone senior to kind of like guide you in your career is super important. And then I guess like just some contact details if you want to like reach out to me. And also like if there's anything that you want to ask or teach me, you can always like reach out to me. And just want to end this by also thanking Derek for like giving me the opportunity to share about like my personal experience and what I think would work.
Hey, great stuff, man. Mun Mun, I think it was really good. I gotta thank you instead, right, for sharing with our community and our students in terms of your journey. And you know, you are to most of them, you are that mentor that has done it, who has achieved it, right? You might think it's a small feat for you or anything, but I think it's really impressive that you have done it on your own, fully on yourself. But hey, actually, one thing I want to ask is, you know, I personally talk to a lot of founders, especially CTO level people or tech managers or employment people, like hiring partners, right? And one thing I noticed is that there is a crazy high demand for tech people, right? In Malaysia, in UK, in Singapore. Can you share a little bit on this? Do you agree? Do you see it? Maybe do you have any examples you can talk about?
You mean like is it specifically to like startups, young companies?
Oh no,
or
no.
like
Anywhere. Is there a huge demand for like tech software engineers?
Yeah, I feel like tech is like starting to be very important. Like I feel like almost every company or industry need like tech people. So like for instance, almost like any industry like e-commerce, finance, like even like tech companies like those Google, Facebook and stuff. They need like software engineer and they need a lot of them. So I feel like there's a lot like software engineering is like something that's very common and like in very high demand.
Awesome, thanks. What would you say is the next step in your career, Mun Mun? Like, you know, let's say 5 years, like an interview now, but like after 5 years, do you see yourself going deeper into software, or do you see yourself branching out, doing your own thing? Like, yeah, can you share a bit on this?
For me, I think I definitely want to stay in tech because like I feel currently I still really enjoy tech. I'm not sure about like staying in the same like company or industry because for me, I feel like to be kind of like a good engineer in general, you have to look at like many different things and experience like different companies. So I feel like my plan for now is to kind of explore different like areas of like tech, to explore how like different company works, or at least like within the same company, I want to work on different projects. But I feel like maybe like in the longer term, like maybe 10 years or something, I do want to like be an expert in like a certain area, like very focused in like one specific area or like system within a company and then like try to develop in terms of that area. But for now, I think that I want to explore like broader and more things.
Awesome. I think Arwin has some questions to ask, but let me ask one last question, Arwin, if you don't mind. Yeah, so you spoke a lot about what you did as a software engineer, which is awesome, right? But I think I want to push you a little bit and I want you to share a little bit more in depth in terms of what exactly did you do in your role, let's say in the first year in your what was the company again? The Hut Group, right? What do you do at like specifically, like what do you exactly do? What technology stack? What do you do 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m. that kind of thing, right? You break it down. Thanks.
Yeah, cool. So like I guess I can probably like maybe give a few examples because like at my current role at the Hut Group, we are kind of like project based. So it depends on like the project, the season and stuff like that. We work on different things at different times of the year. So one example would be like implementing a feature. So for instance, like we have this project where our items that we want to ship internationally, they have like some issues with like the hazardous materials. Like for instance, like maybe flammable products can't be shipped by like cargo or something like that. So like so hazardous material is like a restriction for our shipping process. So what we want to do is to classify the items by putting a label, like a code on the parcels when they are being shipped. So how do we like classify this product? So we need like kind of a logic or a system to do that, rather than like having someone to read the ingredients and then classify them manually, right? So what we did was to implement that feature. So we get help from a third-party company, like an external company that actually have this like machine learning algorithms that classify products. If you just input like some details, like a list of ingredients, the title, and like a list of like products. So what we want to do is to like integrate with their system. So we kind of like write a RESTful API that calls their endpoints, and then like when they return like a response to us, we want to like kind of classify them internally based on our own standards and then save it into the database, that kind of thing. So what we did was to implement that logic, that feature. So that's kind of like coding from 9 to 5. So another example would be like Black Friday. So for instance, like Black Friday, we receive extra traffic. So what we want to do running up to that day is to kind of predict the amount of traffic and be prepared for that day. So what we do is to like load test our apps. So what we did was to kind of scrape like data from our system, like our daily like traffic, scrape those stuff from the logs, and then we create fake traffics with these data to kind of like spam our endpoints, and then to kind of test the limits, and then maybe spot some like thread leaks, stuff like that, look at the dashboard and stuff like that. So like if we spot a thread leak, how do we solve it? Where did that leak come from? So it's more of kind of investigation work, looking around things, looking around the code, testing our apps, and then fixing those issues. So like on some days, you're just like looking at dashboard, sometimes you code. So like it's kind of project based.
Okay. Well, what are some tech that you have worked on, and how much do you need to learn on the job?
So I guess like the tech, in terms of the tech that we work on, is like we use mainly Java for writing our applications, but we do use like shell scripts, Python for like quick scripting or like automation, or like bulk like upload or translate, or like just do stuff with like quick like one-off scripting. And then in our architecture is like event-based, event-driven. So like we use ActiveMQ for like this kind of events stuff. And then in terms of monitoring, we use like Grafana dashboard, Prometheus, Graphite, Kibana, and then we do have like virtual machine apps, and we do also have like Kubernetes app. So and then in terms of like deployment, we use like Jenkins, GitLab CI.
How much do you how many percent of your knowledge or work done would you say you have to learn on the job?
So because for me, I kind of like, in terms of technical knowledge, like coding and stuff like that, like algorithms, data structures and stuff, it's like I joined with very, very fundamental basic knowledge. So for me, a lot of things that I know is learned from the job. In terms of domain knowledge, definitely like 100%, you have to learn about like the domain. And then, yeah, I guess like for me, a lot is learned on the job.
Got it. Thanks. Hey, Arwin, go ahead, man. Do you have any questions to ask? Or anyone else in this chat, Yongle, Jack, and Sekiat, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'll let the rest ask first, yeah.
Yeah, you guys can feel free to drop it in the comments. Arwin, you have any questions?
Yeah, definitely. So I was actually intrigued by the tech stack that you listed down just now, Mun Mun. So yeah, you mentioned cool things like Java being the prominent backend language, right? So I'm guessing maybe in a way this company has been around for quite a while, and that's why Java is like its main language. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. So do you see Right. So question, right? So do you see a transition, will your company be adopting, sort of the more, modern languages like, JavaScript or Python? Are you guys making that transition? And if not, why not? Or yeah, if yes, why?
Yeah, I guess like because at the moment we are not thinking of like translating to like other languages, mainly because like most of our apps are already written in Java. And then I know that like there's like more modern languages. Like I know that Monzo is like heavily using like Go or something. And then yeah, I know that there's like many different languages, but I guess like the way you choose like languages is based on like what they are good for. For instance, like Java works well with databases. We have like those packages and like dependencies for like databases, and then for like building REST API. So I guess like for different languages, they have like their kind of advantages, and you just have to like choose what's best for like for your applications. Yeah.
Right. So I was actually asking this with another question in mind. So then, was the interview process, for you before you joined your company? Was it, did they discriminate in terms of languages? Like, did they expect you to answer, data algorithm question using Java, or they're open to you using any language?
So it really depends on the company. I've like interviewed with like many different companies, and then like some companies they choose the language based on what you have put on your CV. So they were like, also on your CV you've written like you're good in Python or Java. Like you have like a preference on like what language you want to use on like this interview kind of thing. So most of the time you can choose your languages, but because for BlackRock specifically, it's like they are using Java heavily, and also because I did mention that I use a lot of Java at my current role, so they kind of tested me specifically for Java in this role.
Interesting. Okay, and just now you mentioned event-driven, right? Event-driven applications. So would you say that's more of a is it running mostly on serverless architecture, or a server full kind of architecture, or is it like a hybrid thing?
I'm not like really familiar with like serverless or server full. Do you like know roughly like like what is it, or like what exactly do you mean?
Right. I think it's just more of how the app is hosted. Sometimes if it's server full, it's more of like you need to take care of servers, how many servers you spin up, and if the load exceeds a certain stage, you have to worry about scaling your servers, right? Scaling out.
Yeah.
And where
So
serverless, you don't have to worry about servers. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get what you mean now. So for the Hive group, we are kind of hybrid for now. So initially, like in the past, we are mainly hosted, like all our applications are mainly hosted on servers. But because we saw a lot of like problems. So for instance, like back then we don't get as much traffic, and then recently we are getting like a lot of traffic. So like Black Friday, our apps like tend to die a lot because of the traffic, and then we get a lot of like latency and stuff like that. So running up to Black Friday, we have to like spin up new machines, new servers, new nodes, and then like after Black Friday, we don't need that much resources. We need to like decommission our boxes and stuff like that. So in the past we use a lot of servers, but now we are kind of moving towards like Kubernetes app, which is like horizontally scaled. So like whenever you get more traffic, it would kind of like spin up more pods on its own, and then you don't have to really like configure it or do anything like that. And then like when it knows that it doesn't require that much like traffic, it's going to like kill the pods on its own. So yeah, we're kind of like moving towards like serverless.
Great. That's great to know. So yeah, you mentioned, again, a couple other, things in the tech stack: Kibana, Prometheus, Grafana, and then for CI/CD, you mentioned Jenkins and GitLab. So kind of curious, right? Did you learn all these because someone just assigned you a task that required these, or was it something that you requested to your supervisor? Hey, I want to learn this, and so give me a task. that uses this? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I guess, mainly both, like because we work like by having tickets on like a board, and then you pick up the ticket like whichever you want to work on. So like whenever I see something that I'm not familiar with, like writing a deployment pipeline, I would be like, okay, I want to take up this challenge, so I would pick up that ticket. So like whenever people like ask like, oh, so who's willing to pick up this ticket, I would like volunteer for it. So like when I pick up the tickets, I didn't know what to do, I would always like get help, or like because we have so many apps, there's a lot of like examples that you can copy from. So like when I pick up something I don't know, I would like learn how to do it and then ask questions, copy from like other apps, and that's how I kind of like learn things myself. Yeah.
Great. That's interesting. I feel there's a lot of autonomy given to developers at a company.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey, Mun Mun, just want to ask a few, Arvin, if you don't mind, just a few more beginner-friendly questions as well.
Go ahead.
Wanted to ask, right, Mun Mun, I mean, based on like, from graduation, you seem like a dynamic person, but I want to know your numbers. One thing I know is a lot of people, bootcamp graduates, computer science graduates, or just junior people, always think that jobs should just land on their hands. This is one thing I realized. That, oh, I can't get a job, it's the school's fault, right? So I want to know what are your numbers like, how many jobs do you apply for? Walk me through the funnel. How many you apply for? How many interviews? All the way down. Yeah,
cool.
This is not for your not for your 2-year experience one, but for your entry level one, for your first one.
Yeah, for my entry level, I applied for like in terms of like putting in an application, not even like going to an interview.
Yes.
I put in like probably 30 to 40 applications, like just filling out the forms, writing essays, and like not getting a response. Probably like 30.
When you say writing the forms, right? Is it just like, how long does it take for one form?
It depends. Like some of them, they just ask you to submit a CV. Some of them, they want you to actually like type in onto like that career like form or thing. Yeah, and you kind of like have to like type in and then like write some essays and stuff like that, and then write a cover letter, and then it depends on the company. Some of them they want you to like fill in the form. Some of them you can just like upload a CV. Yeah, so like in terms of like just the forms and stuff, I probably like submitted 10 to 40 applications. Yeah. And then in terms of interviews, I probably went for like 3 or 4 interviews, like very little, and mainly because like I don't know, like because I kind of applied for, I guess, like engineering and both tech and engineering, and then like for tech I only received like the high group, so I didn't really have an option.
Oh shit! Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Okay. And hey, by the way, which office are you in? Which BlackRock office?
It's the London one.
Oh, did you see Aishan?
I did reach out to her, but because like currently I'm still remote, so I've only started for 1 week, so I haven't actually met her, but I did reach out to her.
What a small world, man.
Yeah.
Okay, one more thing, right? What's the average salary like for an entry-level role in UK for software engineers?
So for me, because like I did accepted the role like via the boot camp, right? So I did accepted a salary that's like slightly less than the average like computer science degree, but it doesn't matter because like in your second job they don't really care about your degree anymore. So in my first job, like the normal computer science graduate, they do get like 40 to 45K per year per annum in like pounds. And then for me, I started with like 30K, and then like we get like pay reviews every like 6 months. But I did started with like probably around 10K less than them.
Okay. Which is completely fine, right? Because like at the end of the day, you learn from it, and like your second job onwards, you're gonna jump from there. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like for would you say, okay, this is really for more of the foreign people wanting to break into UK. I spoke to your friends, Edel, and by the way, guys, Mun Mun also introduced a very, very, very dynamic hiring partner from a startup who wanted to hire her in the past. I spoke to them, and they were telling me, Derek, please give me people like Mun Mun. We need more people. They were like crazy over you, but like and they were very much open to working remotely with a remote team. So I want to understand, just based on your knowledge, right? you just let me know more about this. Like, how likely would a British company hire a foreign staff? Like a remote. Doesn't have to be in Malaysia, but just remote. Yeah.
So I guess like remote, it depends on like remote within the UK or like remote outside of the UK. Because like if they want to hire someone outside of the UK, they actually have to like pay for your visa application for you to be able to work like for a UK company. And then like you can't really work remotely from a different country because like you're paying tax. Like for instance, if you're paying tax in the UK but you live in Malaysia, it's kind of like unfair, you know, like because stuff is like much like cheaper in Malaysia and stuff like that. So you would have like tax problems. So if you want to work remotely for a UK company, you will have to move to the UK at one point.
Oh, have you seen anyone like that?
Have I seen anyone like that? I have seen people like that, but they are more for like super experienced levels.
Oh, very high
yeah,
level.
where the company is willing to pay for you to come here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess one last question. We're coming to an end very soon, and you know, Arwin can take the wheel for your deep tech questions after this. But one last question for you. Sorry, 2-1. Okay, the final, the one. Okay, if let's talk about just entry level, right? If you could go back in time and you could do something that, let's not talk about the hard group because you found a very good program that, you know, gives you an accelerator. Let's focus on if you were to do it all over alone, and with the knowledge you had today, right? What would you focus on first? And what are the few, okay, let's talk about technology. What are the few technologies that you'd be focusing on, and what would you get yourself really good with? And yeah, I guess what's the minimum bar for someone to get just an entry level job?
For entry level in terms of like technical, right? I would say just data structures and algorithms. Those are like the two like the most fundamental, which you like which would get you to like
really
pass a coding interview.
Would you say like, forget front end, forget back end, just focus on data structures and algorithms?
I would say like I would say like just data structures, algorithms, because like that's from my experience, that's kind of like what I had to like go through in interviews, like mostly a hacker rank, like coding tasks. That's all. Like they don't really like test you a lot on like the technical kind of like knowledge, because they understand that you just got out of uni, you don't really have those experiences. Unless like on your CV you did mention that you are like good in like Angular or React or something like that, so they would like test you on those frameworks that you have.
Did you work with any front end in your current hard group job?
So we do have like front end, we use Angular, but we don't code from scratch, so like most of the stuff are already there, so maybe we have to like implement like a new button or something like that. So like most of the time you can just copy like the button from like another page.
No, when you say it's already there, what do you mean? You mean like they outsourced it, or someone in the past built it?
It's mostly like someone in the past has already built those stuff. So like if like implement a new button, you just have to like copy the code from other page and like put it on your code. And then
do you guys not split between front end, back end, and DevOps, cloud? You guys not split that?
No, for the hard group, we kind of own that entire space. So we own like front end, back end databases and everything in that space.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think about this structure? So whenever there's a new ticket, someone just does it, right? Like, what do you think is this the way forward, or should companies split between front end guys focus front end, back end guys focus back end, cloud guys focus cloud?
I guess like different things work for different people, different companies. But for me personally, I would prefer like kind of like an everything included role, because I'm kind of like curious about like different things, and for entry level, I kind of want to explore many different things.
Very true.
So I would prefer like everything, like front end, back end, DevOps, everything.
So back to the question just now, right? To land your minimum viable job, entry level job, right? Would you say you would say focus deeply on data structures and algorithms, right? Would you say you can do it in 3 months?
Definitely. I guess like for me, okay, so I gotta be honest, like I actually landed another role back then, and then I actually accepted that role, which is not tech. And then because like COVID and everything, and then like my offer was rescinded, so I had to like look for another role within like two to 3 months because like my visa was expiring and
yes.
stuff like that. Yeah, so I kind of like took 2 to 3 months to kind of just like practice HackerRank, mock interview with my friends, and it took me 2 to 3 months to land a new role.
This was
Yeah.
the hard group, you mean the hard group, right?
Yeah.
So before the hard group, what was your level then? Like, what do you know before you got hard group?
Before the hard group, I did like small like coding projects in MATLAB, which is like very simple, like plotting graphs and then like maybe like plotting a polynomial graph, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So MATLAB was probably, I wouldn't consider like proper programming. So I did know a little bit of like writing for loops and stuff like that. But so I would say like my knowledge before the hard group was probably like close to zero, like maybe 10%. 10%. Yeah, close to zero.
Wait, do you mind if I share my screen real quick right now?
Yeah.
And you take a look at this and let me know. I'm going to open up Free Code Camp. Okay. And you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say, okay, I'm going to open up some algorithm challenges that I like to get my students to practice on, or like even me myself in the past, I learned a lot through algorithm scripting. Look at this. For example, let's say these are all very easy, but let's just say title case sentence, right? Something simple like this in JavaScript, right? Whatever they give you a function where you have to put in a variable, right? And in this variable, you put whatever you want inside, and it can be in this weird formats. See, weird format. They want it title case like this nicely, right? Simple challenge, but would you say you were capable of solving this already back then?
No, I would say like back then, like before the 3 months that I started actually practicing, I had like zero knowledge in Python, so I didn't even know how to write a Python function. Wow. Like I have like zero knowledge of even the syntax.
Interesting. Yeah. And would you say, right, let's just say solving challenges like this and HackerRank challenges, and we can go to the more advanced stuff. So not functional. Let's just talk about this. For example, this is one of the favorite ones. I spent a lot of time doing this back in the days. Some all odd Fibonacci numbers. This is pretty hard, I would say. But let's say DNA pairing. What is this again? Let's see. Let's take a look. The DNA strand is missing the pairing element. Take each character, get its pair, and return the results in a 2D array. So this one is about how our DNA strands are in like this are some different keywords. Well, you need to know some stuff about DNA. So let me go to another one. Search and replace. So this is very simple as well. So they give you a sentence and they give you another argument, right, where you have to replace it, right? So if they say before, after, so you have to replace jumped with leaped, right? Okay, would you say solving all these challenges? Let's just say in my first 3 months, forget everything else. I just focus on solving all this. I just spam all this, right? Would you say it's enough already?
Yeah, I would say like this is definitely like good enough for like a very beginner level role. So like for me, when I first started, I couldn't even like write. I didn't even know the syntax of writing Python, so I didn't know how to even write a function in Python. And then so like I started learning the syntax, and after learning the syntax, it's kind of more on like your problem solving skills after that. So like you need to kind of have like an idea of how to solve a problem, and then slowly after that you learn about like the techniques, the concepts and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess like about the replacing stuff in a string, I guess that's like considered super basic. Maybe you might need a little more for like to pass an interview, but that's like definitely like a good place to start.
Good place to start, right? Yep. So I think this echoes on what I felt since day one. Currently, the world, the industry is like lacking good developers like crazy right now. They just literally snatch anyone who's able to do algorithm. And the point is this, right? Tech is the world of technology is so vast. There's so many technologies. It changes so quickly, right? Like they don't need someone with a computer science degree. They need someone who's has some fundamentals and able to learn on the job. Like Mun Mun, right? She learned everything on the job. I believe Arvin's gonna do his sharing sometime soon as well. And
invite
Arvin,
me.
by the way, he is. I'll invite you in. Arvin is also a self-taught developer. But I'm gonna. I mean, we can wrap up soon. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. And let's take a quick photo, guys. Take a quick photo. Jack, Yongler, and Sekia, you guys mind switching on the cameras, guys? It's a great session. Hey, Sekian, Yongla and Jack, you guys there? Okay, not sure if they're here, but no, it's okay. Let's just take it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. Got it. So I'm gonna post these photos and these videos in our community. And Mun Mun, I'm gonna invite you to our social learning app as well. Then you can take a look and feel free to contribute as well if you see any questions. And yeah, I think that's all on my side. And I really thank you, Mun Mun, for all this. Arwin, feel free to stay back and discuss with her, get to know each other. Very nice. Mun Mun is a very good friend of mine. Arwin is a very good friend of mine as well. So I'm sure we can all meet up. Mun Mun, when are you coming back to Malaysia?
Probably the end of this year. I would love to meet you guys.
Okay.
I'm interested in learning cloud, so Arwin, if you're good at it, please teach me.
Wait, so Mun Mun, are you do you plan to come back to Malaysia, like long run? What's your plans?
I guess like I will go wherever I find an opportunity. If I find an opportunity in Malaysia, I'll be open to go back.
That's the safest answer. Yeah. But if you don't find an opportunity in Malaysia, you're like, yeah, whatever. You're more of a global person. You want to just go wherever you get the best. Okay. Yeah. Awesome, man. Then I'm like that as well. Arwin's like that as well. We will somehow we'll meet somewhere on Earth in the world.
Definitely.
If we were to wrap this up with one last maybe advice or a quote or something from you, Mun Mun, what would it be? Or for juniors,
For juniors, I would say that like definitely try. Like don't think that you don't have the degree and then that stop you from trying. I would say like definitely trying, and after like failing multiple times, you will finally definitely land a job in the end.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mun Mun. That's all from my side. Arwin, feel free to stay on. You guys, feel free to stay on. I'm gonna make a move. Feel free to discuss and talk and wrap it up on your own, right? Cheers, guys. Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mun Mun.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, great. Wait, so are you? Yeah, are you in the UK right now?
Yeah, I am. Where are you based?
PJ.
PJ. And are you like currently a software developer, like specifically focused on cloud development?
Yeah, it's mostly cloud development, really. Yeah, it's mostly like I'll say our solutions probably 80% are hosted on the cloud.
Okay.
Mainly.
In like what sort of cloud technology? Is there like a specific like AWS or like GCP or stuff like that?
Right. So I would say like 90% AWS and then like 10% Azure. Yeah, I guess we did it. We are open to using like GCP for the APIs because they're very cool like APIs, for AI, right? Because we're basically an AI company, AI cloud company. So we need to use the cloud for training models, right? I mean, it's no brainer. But then but generally for real time like inference, we do in a server. Yeah, because it has to be real time, right? So that's generally our company. Yeah.
Okay. Which company do you work for?
Tabway. It's a startup company. Yeah.
Okay. What are you planning to share in your next sharing session?
Right. I guess something like you, like journey of getting like the first job, despite not having a traditional CS degree or software engineering degree, and sort of walk everyone through like the process it took. Like you said just now, applying to 40 different like jobs. Like, I resonated with that because it's all about shooting your shot, and
True.
And sometimes like being HR, they will discount you because you don't have a CS degree. That's normal, even though you're probably very good at data structures. So yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, so I guess shoot your shot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I guess that only happens in your like first job, because like after like landing your first job, in your second job, you don't really like feel the difference with other people, and like they don't really like treat you differently after your first job, I think.
True. So how did you get to know Derek?
So we went to the same high school, and then like he was a transfer student. I was like in there for like since I was in Form 1, and then I think he came to like my school in probably Form 4 or Form 5, and then like we got to know each other in high school.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. You guys still keep in touch. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we like kind of lost contact after like high school for like probably a few years, and then like after that, because I was like interested in going into tech, so I asked for like his program. I wanted to join his program, but in the end, like I landed another program with the Heart Group, so I went for the other one. Yeah, but we did reconnect after like probably a few years after high school.
Yeah, I feel that though.
How do you know that?
Oh, Derek. Yeah, good question. Good question. So I think it was it's funny because I met him through Ming. You know Ming.
Okay.
Ming.
I think
yeah.
she was in my high school as well.
Ming
Was it?
Yu Ki.
I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, Ming Yu Ki. Yeah. So yeah, he's close friends with Derek. So I got to know him from job application. So I applied to the Hacker Collective. I just wanted to scan the job market, like you said earlier, see the job market. So I met Ming, and then that's how I met Derek. Yeah, and I was like, Derek, Derek's vision is similar to mine, as in like we're into education and we're passionate about teaching and self learning. So I guess that's how I got to know him.
Cool. Yeah, I'm interested. Like, if you're ever going to like share about like how you self learn about like these technologies, definitely like tell me, because I've always wanted to like learn about like cloud, but I just didn't know where to start, because like most of the time you have to pay for like those platforms and stuff like that. So I'm being like
Well, I mean, generally they give you like some free plan for the first 6 months.
Okay.
Just to get you into it.
Is that how you start?
Not really. It was more of like really learning on the job. So the company was paying for it. So I just had to be mindful of the cost. So there's that. Yeah. What are your plans this weekend? Are you gonna be working or?
Not really. I'm good because like I recently moved into like a new place, so I'm just going to go out and explore like this area. Just walk around, look at things.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll go to the UK. Yeah, I haven't been there yet, so one day.
Let me know if you do.
Will do. All right, really nice to meet you, Mun Mun.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
you for sharing.
No worries. If I ever go back to Malaysia, I'll reach out to you guys just to connect.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, Mun Mun.
Bye. Have a
nice weekend. Bye.
Bye.